Hi everyone. Last week when we met, we talked a little bit about our orientation into this class, some of the expectations, and some of our goals. As you know, you have your essay, which is due to help me get to know you a little better. And once again, I look forward to working with you in my class. What do you need as far as supplies? Yes, even when we are remote, I'd like you to have a notebook and use pencils, and I'd like you to have a positive attitude because I know some people love math and some people sort of have a love-hate relationship with it, so keep an open mind and just do your best. You will get the textbook if you like, and that can stay at home because you do have an online component. And once again, I welcome you to my class. As I mentioned in our orientation, chapters 1 and chapters 2, I'm going to do it a little quicker pace because I feel this material will be all review. If at any point you feel that it's a topic that needs more work, please communicate that with me. You also have the chapter 1 and chapter 2 overview packet to complete by Monday, so this way I can see how strong you are on the different topics. So math will start with expressions, okay? It's a whole new language. We have the verbal, which is an expression all in words. We'll have numeric, which is numbers and operations. And then we'll have the most important variable or algebraic expressions, which contain numbers, variables, and symbols. So I can have something like 2 plus 5, all words. I can translate that into a numerical expression, 2 plus 5. And if I wanted to convert this into something algebraic, I would simply replace one of these numbers with a variable. And there you have our 3 expressions. So in the very beginning, we're not solving anything, we'll be simplifying. So vocabulary is a key point in our course, knowing the words, getting familiar with the terms, and knowing how to use them. We know the term variable refers to a letter or symbols that represent one or more numbers. I call them generally algebraic expressions that contain numbers, variables, and symbols. The term evaluate is going to tell me to take those expressions and substitute in given values in order to simplify. And the word values just simply means numbers. And speaking of the word simplify, simplify to me tells me to perform all the operations, and I just refer to that as just do the math until there's nothing left to do. We're going to be dealing with real numbers, and we'll talk a little bit more in person about the subsets of real numbers because we'll have whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. All of these real numbers can be represented on a number line by graphing or plotting points using closed circles to represent each of them. Now this number line is a very useful tool. It's a very useful tool because I can use it to compare numbers, to order them from least to greatest, to identify opposites, and I could talk about absolute value. Once again, some of the key terms that you're probably already familiar with. The word opposites. Opposites are just numbers that are equidistant from the origin. I could say that -3 and 3 are opposites. They are both 3 spaces from the origin. The term absolute value refers to a number's distance from 0, and we use these lines to indicate absolute value. So we will read the following: the absolute value of 3, which equals 3, We know that absolute value will always be positive, so the absolute value of -3, saying distance from -3 to the origin is 3 spaces, so that's another 3. The only time we're seeing a negative is if we see the negative on the outside, because this is read the opposite of the absolute value. So if absolute value is always positive, its opposite would be negative. Sometimes you'll be asked to perform something in an order of operations that might have absolute value and maybe something to perform. Well, I need to perform what's within this grouping, and that's going to be equal to the absolute value of -4, which then becomes 4. Okay, so again, not teaching you anything new, just sort of refreshing your memory on a few key terms. So again, knowing these terms: variable, a letter that represents a number or some unknown; simplify, do the math. Now, when an expression, a numerical expression, has more than one operation, so basically 2 or more operations, we must use order of operations and the left to right rule to simplify. If we follow these simple rules, we'll all wind up with the same answer. Well, let's pause the video and try these 4 problems. Then check back to see how you did. Okay, so let's check. Looking at this, I see 7 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 6. Order of operations says let's look at this exponent first. Now I can bring everything down, but as you get versed in this, you can do a couple steps at once. I could have easily gone from 49, and then I'm going to have that minus 10 plus 6. I'm now going to subtract. With the left to right rule, it doesn't matter addition or subtraction, it's whatever comes first, left to right. That's going to give me 39 plus 6, and my end result, which I'm going to box so you'll find it easily, is 45. On to our next problem. Again, I see parentheses, so I'm going to do what's in the parentheses first. This gives me 5 squared. 5 squared divided by 5 times 5. That's 25 divided by 5 times 5. This is going to give me 5 times 5, which is going to give me an end result of 25. Now always go back and check, because again, I can make a simple error if I'm not paying attention. 5 squared is 25. I'm going to use the left to right rule, so I'm going to divide first, and then I'm going to multiply. Grouping symbols could include brackets as well. So in this case, I have parentheses. I'm going to square. So now I have 64 minus 8. And that's going to give me 56. One last one, and again, this one's pretty straightforward. I'm going to first divide and get 8, and 8 times 2 will give me 16. As we're working, and again, easily distracted, making some common mistakes, we always go back and we check, and we respectfully agree or disagree with what we see. One other type of grouping symbol is the fraction bar, which says that everything in the numerator portion should be simplified first. Simplify what's in the denominator portion. And lastly, again, we're performing all operations, so there's nothing left to do. And that leaves me with 4. The next step to this is evaluating, and when you evaluate, you replace the variables with given values. And then you do the order of operations and perform all operations. Here I have 5 times negative 2 plus 3 times 7. That's going to give me a negative 10 plus 21. And now I combine, and when the signs are unlike, I subtract, and that leaves me with 11. Using those same values, I have 4 times negative 2 squared plus 5 times 7. Go ahead and finish that problem, and when we meet up in class, we're going to go over the results. Try these 3 problems, and again, we'll give the answers in class. You can pause the video and write these down in your notebook. And then I'm going to do the rest in class. For your assignment today, you're going to go and complete that chapter 1 and 2 overview packet and submit that, and we'll talk about that. That'll be due for Monday, so you'll have the rest of the weekend to finish. Some of you have already done it, and I thank you for that. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you next class.